E hoje é o dia amado que todo mundo adora, o dia da Drake. E não é um dia qualquer, é um dia com duas grandes novidades da Drake. Uma nave super pequena que cabe 64 SCUs e ainda traz raio trator, que é mais o que. Esse vídeo vai dividir espaço com a Golem Ox e também com a Clipper. Do meio pro final vai ser a Clipper a dona da vez. Muitos estão chamando essa navinha aí até de Drake Handles. Mas apesar de parecer uma nave feia ao estilo Frankenstein, ela é muito boa. A Ox não tem CCU com desconto, mas pelo menos a Clipper tem. Mas fique aí com a Golem Ox.
One of the tenets of Drake as a manufacturer is from time to time they look at their existing catalogue of ships and go, can we make something with this that serves a different purpose? Whilst other manufacturers would dedicate the time and resources into making a whole new, shiny, latest, greatest ship, Drake is all about maximising value and extracting every single possible ounce of use out of their existing ships. Whether that's the Cutlass, having the medical red version of it from the base Cutlass Black, or from the Cutter spawning into the Rambler and Scout versions. Earlier this year, Drake introduced the Golem, their starter mining ship, and now they've upgraded it into the Golem Ox, a dedicated cargo hauler.
The Golem Ox is a variant on the Golem chassis from Drake. What we've done with it is we have removed everything that is unique to the Golem for mining, and we've repurposed that chassis into something that is a little bit more functional for cargo carrying.
It's the smallest ship that can carry a 32 SCU container, and it can also carry two of them at the same time.
It can fit up to 32 SCU containers, but it's not exclusively 32 SCU containers. You could fit 64 individual ones or any combination between 1 SCU and 32 SCUs.
That's pretty cool.
The Golem Ox maintains the majority of the original Drake Golem chassis with a dedicated cab at the front just for the player to sit in and fly. And then they've widened the rear superstructure to support carrying the two 32 SU containers.
We buffed up the size of the thrusters, and we've removed the big mining arm on the top, and instead we've replaced that with additional fuel tanks.
We've also slapped a deploying tractor beam turret on the rear so that you can attach and detach cargo from the cockpit. It's got a little camera on the tractor beam so you can see from the back view attaching and detaching cargo.
So we've got a little bit more fuel, we've got bigger thrusters, we've got twice the cargo carrying capacity in something that is still a very, very small footprint.
It's quite nippy for its size. With the tractor beam on the back, you can quickly zoom in, grab some like loose cargo and then zoom out. So it could be like useful to like recover valuables during combat situations.
As with all things Drake, it was built for a purpose. And then what we've done is we've kind of giving it an additional functionality, an additional role without having to kind of start from the ground up, which to me feels very Drake in terms of their kind of ethos of how they build ships.
The Golem Ox is a variant of the Golem, so it shares paints with the base ship and comes with new paints that will be cross-compatible with original Golem owners. So there's lots of cool customization options available for Golem and Golem Ox owners now.
The Golem seems to take paint better than anything else. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what they did when they made it, but the Golem paints just hit differently.
I think the Golem paints are probably successful because Drake as a whole have a little bit more of a rustic feel to them. There's a little bit more aging and character in the material surface finishes, which really help when we then start putting on some quite vibrant, quite bright paints onto it. And they kind of contrast really well with the main kind of Drake framework underneath. It looks quite striking, and I think generally Drake ships take paints pretty well.
Very happy with the ship. I think it's been something a lot of players have asked for when they saw the original Golems, like why don't we do this with it? And so we're happy to introduce that.
Could there be more Golem variants in our future?
I would say it's probably not off the cards that we wouldn't do more Golem variants in the future, just because the ship is very cool and versatile. Medical Golem.
Golem médica, se é brincadeira ou não desses caras, a gente vai saber depois. Mas agora vamos ver a Clipper, essa navinha que eu achei muito bonita aí, pelo menos com essa pintura branca, porque a nave é feia pra um chuchu. Ela me lembra muito a Razor Crest do Mandaloriano. Ela é mais uma daquelas naves que servem pra tudo, mas não serve pra nada. Por exemplo, ela tem um cargo muito pequenininho, mas tem cama médica, por incrível que pareça, só que do Tier 3, mas já quebra o galho. Embora você saia dela com uma hepatite A. E por incrível que pareça, a primeira nave que traz um fabricador, pois é, já é feita para o base build. Claro que ela não vai fazer uma base, mas vai fazer coisas pequenas futuramente, como armadura e armas, muito provavelmente. Fique aí com a nave. Bem que me falaram que ela tem pé de pato. E esse elevador sanfona, olha...
There's a lot of gameplay loops in Star Citizen. There's mining, salvage, cargo, piracy, and a whole host of combat roles ranging from large capital ships which require a huge crew down to these single-player fighters, with more coming online over the next year. There's a lot of players that specialize in each of those roles, and there's ships that are dedicated to those roles. But there's also a lot of players that sort of don't want to be put in a box, and they just want to leave themselves open to whatever happens in the verse. We refer to this as the generalist playstyle, and we have a few ships that sort of fit into that role, such as the Cutter and the Corsair. We felt there was an ideal space in the middle to introduce a new ship, and that's the Drake Clipper. The Drake Clipper is the jack of all trades, the master of none, really.
So it's the Jared of spaceships.
It is Drake's answer to the ship that does a little bit of everything. And it's really there for the person that wants to go out, explore, but without needing to bring along friends. It is Drake's solo ship for the person that just wants to go and see what the universe has to offer.
The Clipper is that silhouette that everyone has been hankering for from CitizenCon 2024, the large, vertical, multi-positioned wing Drake ship.
We had a few different ideas that we tried, and we ended up with one that was very thin and narrow that CR quite liked, and we saw it as like a stepping point between the Cutter and the Corsair, as like the middle ground between those. It just looks straight. You look at it and you know.
Very little has changed from the concept to the final ship. I think some parts of it we had to like stretch and make smaller or make bigger, but it was very easy to work from.
So really, you just copied Lath's work.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
From the outside, I think the first thing you kind of notice when you walk up to it is just how tall it is. The role we wanted it to have, we wanted it to be able to do loads of different stuff, but we wanted to keep it within a really small solo footprint. And so what we decided to do was build on its height.
I love its like top profile it has, where you can probably see the difference in shape of the wings. I think it looks cool.
The shapes, like there is a lot of angular shape in the design. In the side, we have 3 thruster and big twin engines in the rear.
It makes it seem so brutish because it's so simple. It's just massive engines shoved on wherever they could find them, and it doesn't matter what it looks like, it's just big and it goes.
There's a bit of weirdness to it. It's got that Drake thing where it's not symmetrical. It looks a bit ungainly and weird, but I really like how it's all come together.
The Caesar mechanism of the lift features a pure industrial, functional approach. It's very cool to see it in a ship.
And despite its utility, it's no slouch in the offensive department either. Typical to Drake, it comes with 4 size 3s for its actual weapons, as well as a number of missiles to fire at your opponents.
So going up the ramp, you enter into the cargo bay, and that is literally the bottom floor of the ship.
The ramp is go down in the front side, and you can see in the side where ramp it joins are really nice details, fans and some very big hydraulics. And in the cargo, in the ceiling, nice detail there, really nice pipes and a lot of greebles there. It can hold 10 to 12 SCU.
The biggest box you can get in here is realistically a 2 SCU box, but it's really ideal for single 1 SCU boxes. Then at the rear of the cargo room is the ladder up to the mid-deck. At the top of that ladder, you enter into the lower sort of engineering component room area.
I think engineering for me, it makes it feel hot, it makes it feel sweaty, it makes it feel like there's a lot of stuff going on to make it function. And I think we've kind of captured that quite well in engineering. I think there's a lot of subtle movement going on. We've tried to make it kind of as immersive as we can so that when you're in there, I think the lighting complements it, the movement complements it, you know, the audio complements it. It feels like you're in the heart of the machine.
The engineering deck is split between 2 floors because of the narrow shape of the ship. The only way to the top deck is a ladder. We couldn't get the components down the ladder. So we've implemented basically a fun little trapdoor in the engineering room that you move the components through with like a tractor beam. There's a big clunky lever that you pull and the trapdoor just swings open, so don't stand on it when you pull the lever.
And then going forwards from that, you enter into the medical bay.
It's Drake's take on what a medical bay should be. If I'm honest, the inspiration from it for me was more of a sort of like a butcher's room.
It has got red wine-colored floor. It looks very heavy duty and like industrial.
And a lot of people were a little bit like, do we want a med bay to have a red floor? Because normally, you know, medical bays they're clean, they're clinical. But for me, you know, Drake's take on a medical bay is there's a bit of blood on the floor. Well, I wanted it to feel a little bit like it was somewhere you'd use as the last resort rather than somewhere that you'd be happy waking up.
The Clipper has a tier 3 medical bed in the med bay.
This is great for healing minor injuries as well as short distance regeneration.
It gives you that little bit of a safety net, truly making it one of the best ships for someone to fly on their own.
You then have a room that is dedicated to the crafting machine.
Although the feature isn't online yet, you'll be able to make stuff on the fly while actually inside the vessel. And obviously, with the fabricator integrated into the actual ship itself, it isn't a case of choosing whether you want more cargo storage or the fabricator. You get best of both worlds.
The habitation room in the Creeper does not care about luxury or comfort. You'll see too much exposed mechanical components, pipes, wires, and no frills in general.
And then at the very top front, you have the traditional Drake cockpit, featuring very angular designed cockpit glass and a sort of seat and dashboard setup you'll be familiar with.
It feels quite contemporary. There's a lot of push buttons, there's a lot of glowing lights. The screens are kind of slightly curved, so it's got like that kind of nod back to old CRT screens, and we just wanted it to feel quite analog, or as much as we could in a modern spaceship.
The cockpit in the Creeper is quite spacious, and it gives the pilot a wonderful panoramic view thanks to its large glass cage.
I remember when we were doing the concept, it was kind of like an early idea, and we were umming and ahhing about to like where we want the cockpit to be, and then as soon as we saw it up at the front, it just kind of worked.
It's a Drake ship, it's always a fan favourite. The detail and the interest that we get to do with Drake means that they're always great fun to actually work on.
Very happy with it. It's another great Drake ship that just sort of adds to their lineup, and when you look at it, you can tell it's a Drake ship.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I'll leave that up to you to decide whether that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah, do you know, I'm going to say it, and I think it's my favourite ship this year for IE. No offence to any of the other ships that we're doing.